Did you know that the land we call Australia was once neighbors with Antarctica and India, all huddled together near the South Pole? Wow! It's a mind-blowing journey that spans hundreds of millions of years. Have you ever wondered how this massive island continent ended up so isolated, floating all by itself? Let's rewind the clock and uncover the epic geological story of Australia. Our story begins about 250 million years ago, a time when Earth looked nothing like it does today. Almost all the land on our planet was fused into one gigantic supercontinent called Pangaea. Imagine a world with no Atlantic Ocean, where you could technically walk from North America to Africa. Australia wasn't an island. It was just a piece of a much larger puzzle, tucked away in the southern part of this landmass, an area we call Gondwana. This southern supercontinent included what would become South America, Africa, Antarctica, India, and of course, Australia. Back then, Australia's east coast was a chaotic scene of volcanic activity, constantly being reshaped by tectonic forces as new land was being added. Around 180 million years ago, the cracks began to show. Pangaea started to break apart. This wasn't a sudden event, but a slow geological dance that took millions of years. Gondwana, the southern half, began its own process of separation. Africa and South America started to drift apart, creating the early South Atlantic Ocean. India began its long, dramatic journey northward. And Australia? It was still firmly attached to Antarctica, like two best friends not ready to say goodbye. During this time, vast inland seas ebbed and flowed across the Australian landmass, leaving behind layers of sediment that would one day form iconic landscapes like the Great Artesian Basin. Now, let's fast forward to about 85 million years ago. The final big breakup was underway. A rift started to form between Australia and Antarctica. Imagine a zipper slowly being undone. This process was incredibly slow, at a pace of just a few millimeters a year. For millions of years, they remained connected by a land bridge, particularly through what is now Tasmania. This connection allowed ancient plants and animals, like the ancestors of our marsupials and unique flora, to move between the two continents. What do you think life would have been like on an Australia that was still connected to a green, forested Antarctica? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Then, around 45 million years ago, the final separation happened. The Tasmanian land bridge submerged and Australia was finally set adrift on its own for the first time. This was a pivotal moment. As Australia drifted north, a powerful ocean current, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, was born. This current began to swirl around the now isolated Antarctica, cutting it off from warmer waters and plunging it into a deep freeze, leading to the formation of its massive ice sheets. This global climate shift had a profound impact on Australia as well. As Australia drifted northward, its climate began to change dramatically. It moved away from the cold, wet polar regions into warmer, drier latitudes. The lush rainforests that once covered much of the continent began to retreat. The land started to dry out. This process, known as aridification, wasn't uniform. It happened in fits and starts over millions of years, driven by global climate cycles and the continent's slow drift. The central parts of Australia became increasingly dry, giving rise to the vast deserts we see today. The continent's ancient mountain ranges, which were once as mighty as the Himalayas, had been eroding for hundreds of millions of years. This erosion flattened the landscape, creating the characteristically old, weathered continent we recognize. This drying out forced Australia's life to adapt or die. The plants and animals that survived were the ones that could cope with fire, drought, and nutrient-poor soils. This is the origin story for so much of Australia's iconic and bizarre wildlife. Eucalyptus trees evolved to be fire-resistant, their seeds often needing the heat of a blaze to germinate. Marsupials, like kangaroos, developed incredibly efficient ways to conserve water and energy, allowing them to thrive in this harsh new environment. Australia became a unique evolutionary laboratory, its isolation allowing for the development of creatures found nowhere else on Earth. It's a classic example of survival of the fittest on a continental scale. Over the last 2 million years, the Earth has been in a cycle of ice ages. These dramatic climate swings further shaped the Australian continent. During colder periods, when much of the world's water was locked up in massive ice sheets, sea levels dropped by more than 100 meters. This drop in sea level reconnected Australia to New Guinea and Tasmania, forming a larger landmass called Sahul. This land bridge was crucial, as it allowed the first humans to walk into Australia around 65,000 years ago. These first peoples navigated this changing landscape, adapting to its challenges and becoming the oldest living culture on Earth. When the ice ages ended and the glaciers melted, sea levels rose again, flooding the land bridges and creating the island continent of Australia we know today, isolating its human and animal populations once more. And that brings us to the present day. Australia is still on the move, drifting north at a rate of about 7 centimeters per year, one of the fastest moving tectonic plates on the planet. This ongoing journey means it's slowly crashing into the Pacific Plate, a collision that creates the seismic activity and mountainous terrain of New Guinea and New Zealand. So the story isn't over. Australia's geological journey continues, and the continent is still being shaped by the immense forces deep within the Earth. From its origins in a polar supercontinent to its solitary drift across the ocean, Australia's formation is a truly epic tale of continental breakup, climate change, and incredible adaptation. It's a reminder that the ground beneath our feet is not static, but part of a dynamic, ever-changing planet. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through deep time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into our world's amazing past. See you next time.